All right. We need to talk about the men on Snapchat. I'm trying a new thing while filming, while putting something on my phone in front of it, so I'm not constantly looking at myself and I'm looking more at the camera. I'm trying to force that to happen. Um, so I decided to do a bit of an experiment. Like literally, I have graphs. I have graphs. This is gonna be fun. Fun. I added over 600 people on Snapchat over a 4-day period. Now, here's some things. First of all, I didn't send anyone friend requests, they sent me friend requests. I put myself on Quick Add for the first time ever. I had never in my 10 years on Snapchat ever placed myself on Quick Add until 4 days ago. And I did this because I wanted to see if my hypothesis was correct. Because every now and then I will get somebody, a friend of a friend, who will add me, and usually it's a guy, and usually they end up doing something kind of creepy. So I wanted to get more information on specifically the type of statistics I would come up with on the type of men and women that would add me on Snapchat and then document it. Now, originally, I was going to basically do a little bit of a compilation, excuse me, of the comments I received, and I will at the end talk about a little bit of the type of messages I got. But I decided I'm not going to post any screenshots because I didn't think of this until now, but I am aware that in some states it is illegal to share private messages. So, even though technically I could argue most of the screenshots, no matter where it is legal or illegal, it is always legal to document illegal behavior, which includes sexual harassment, which is what I've been screenshotting. So technically speaking, it wouldn't be illegal, but I'm just trying to save my butt here, right? I don't want to catch no charges in no other states. I'm good. Thank you very much. Um so I had reported slash blocked. I didn't always block, but in this statistic also I kind of messed things up a little bit, and I'm probably gonna do this again. Um, but essentially, I decided to only count the people that I absolutely did block, or if I reported them, but only if I also told them that they were reported. Like I literally just responded, reported. So that was 242 men. I think out of 658, I have the actual number in my notes later on. One confirmed woman and one non-binary person. I'll explain later. I'll explain later on that one because that one I did make sure to screenshot. Like we will talk about that later. Over a 4-day period. 4 days. Four. 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 So our first topic of graph is who asked for my age out of the 242 that I blocked? Here we are. So only 27 people immediately upon adding me and then following up with something that was reportable or block-worthy actually asked for my age. That's about 11 to 12%. That's kind of scary, especially since, I have been mistaken as a minor before. I will say, especially now that I've lost weight, I look a lot older. But I put on a few pounds, my face gets a little rounder, and bam, people start asking me what my age is, especially whenever, I want to buy nicotine. So, 16 asked me after sending me R-rated stuff. That's about 6 to 7%. And then 199 people never even asked me how old I was. About 82 to 83%. Now, I will put a little bit of disclaimer on why this may be a bit unfair. I did put on my account, but I've always had this on my account on my Snapchat, 18 plus only. I did this once I turned 18 because I don't really want to be friends with minors. I'll make some few exceptions for like coworkers, but also like I don't want any children to be seeing me if I make a more I guess scandalous type of post. I don't post any nudity. Otherwise I'd be banned. My account would not exist after 10 years, just saying. But I don't want any children, especially I cry a lot on my Snapchat and scream and rant. Uh It is not for children. It's just not for children. I talk about very, very heavy topics a lot of times. It's just not for kids. So it is 18 plus. So I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt as well with this. But it is disturbing how many people um, would follow up later on and accuse me of being a child, which I will give the benefit of doubt again and assume most of them are accusing me of being childish by screenshotting and telling them that they were recorded. But at the same time, it's just a little weird to not confirm someone's age and then turn around and call them a child after sending them unwanted sexual content. I'm just saying. The next graph that we got, this one's a fun one, sent a D pic or corn. 62%, I mean, not percent, excuse me. 62 did this. That's about 25 to 26%. 180 did not. And again, this is coming from the 242 that I blocked slash and or told they were being reported. And that's 74 to 75% did not. So I say that's improvement, not too disheartening, I guess. You're gonna notice a theme with the colors. Have fun with that. I think it's funny. The next category, this one's another fun one. Asking for my body. Specifically, I had people soliciting for that type of work, which I don't care if you're a grown adult and a grown adult. I don't care. I really don't. I think a lot of things that are illegal should be legal and integrated legally into our systems to maintain health and protection and rights. I'm just saying, I definitely feel that it's not my business. I don't care. But they asked for my body like to meet up and immediately. And it's not like they warmed up with me. Most of these people as well, like right out of the get go, immediately messaged me, "You down to?" No, no, I am not down. No, ask for my body or corn. So asking if I sell, which I do also have my Cash App on my Snapchat, but it specifically says for donations only. What is the definition of a donation? Tell me why so many men go, "Yeah, I'll donate to your Cash App, but what do I get in return?" Do you not know how donations work? Please open the dictionary to the letter D and, and look up donations. It is after your member, since they always look that up in the dictionary. Let's be real, I do too, honestly. So, 86 people asked for this. That's about 35 to 36%. And 156 of those did not. So, most of these, you're going to start seeing, like, this one, if we compare them and everything else, it's like they did either or for almost a third each. So almost one third just sent me, which also it's illegal by the way to send unsolicited stuff like that. in my state, and it's turning a law in a lot of states, which honestly makes sense because consent. But a third and then a third, just crazy, right? Crazy. So then this is a fun one. This is tell me, you tell me in the comments about the colors here and what you think about them and what I was trying to get at here. Now I screenshotted pretty much almost everybody a part of this. I either screenshotted or I told them I was going to report them. Well, not that I was going to, but just say reported. Or both. Like I said, reported, screenshot, you know. That's where the 242 comes from. I actually have more than that blocked. But again, I messed up originally with my intentions of some of these things. So only 242 is accounted for here. And these are their responses. I guess we'll start here. 32 screenshotted me back. I don't know why. I think that was probably just an intimidation tactic. 13 to 14%. Then we had other. Usually it was they just continued on talking like nothing happened. Even some of the ones when I said they were reported, they're like, okay, and then they sent me another message and just continued on like nothing happened. I don't know, man, but that was what 4 to 5%. 79 immediately unfriended me. About 32 to 33%. I think that one was funny. 68 insulted me. You know, they threw an insult at me. This is where the ones called me a child comes in, right? That was about 28 to 29%. Okay. Uh, and then we have just straight up no response. None of these, just nothing. 51, which was 21, 22%. Yeah. When I knew I wanted to do this specific graph, that's why the number dropped from 300 something to 242 when it comes to the actual real number of people that I have blocked and reported. Because I really wanted to document the responses. So, oh, I went backwards. Who added me by gender? I split it between women, men, and other. Now we're going to talk about this. This one is really, really important to me. The reason why this one's important to me is because something happened with that non-binary. We're going to get into it. So I had 732. I didn't count the people kind of null and void. Basically, day one is almost like completely like not accounted for. So I also didn't count most of the friend requests that didn't respond to me. That way I kind of looked at I forgot how I did it. I think I just split it based on I can't remember. I did some math to try and make it as accurate as possible with how many people I end up having to. You'll see it's coming up. We'll just continue. So 658 of that 732 friend requests were men. That's 89 to 90%. It's a lot. That's a lot. Mostly men added me. 71 women added me. That was 9 to 10%. And then three people that added me, identified as non-binary or gender fluid. So that's who added me. That's who added me. Now, one of these people that I put in there, I went ahead and put them in the non-binary. I keep putting quotes. I'll explain. In the other, but we'll talk about that one in a moment. But first, out of the 658 men, were they blocked? Who was blocked? 240. Because remember what I said at the very beginning, one woman and one non-binary person I blocked. The rest were men. That's about 36 to 37, so over a third. Over a third. Also, sorry if my graphs are not 100% accurate. I did eyeball them. But I didn't block 418 men, which is about 63-64%. Now, here's the thing about that. Now, I did not block anyone that wasn't going against Snapchat TOS, basically. So if it wasn't something I could report you for, I didn't want to report every single one because I have a fear that Snapchat is just going to ban my account from all the excessive reports that I do. Because I know that is a feature on a different social media. So I didn't want to overload everything. So with the people being blocked, I really wanted to make sure it was strictly against something of the TOS, something of their rules. I didn't block anyone that sent me a single message and then I ignored them. Or if they even sent me like a message and then they sent me another message maybe several hours later. And then they left me alone. Like I didn't block anyone for that reason. Because it's kind of irrelevant too. Like they're just being annoying. They're not they're not really harassing me. They're just annoying. Now another thing too as well on my stories. What kind of stories was I posting? I was literally talking the entire 4 days about misogyny, sexism, and actually some of my statistics that I was keeping up with, talking about how I block a little over 50 men every day now. And I've been talking about it, literally talking about it, and it's still happening. I would say talking about it, I don't think really changed anything, actually. I think for as many people it turned away from me, it also pulled people to me. Like, I think it just stayed consistently because the first day of everything, before I actually fully decided, yeah, I'm going to make a video out of this, and this is what I want to do, and this is the type of graphs I'm going to make. Before I got to that point the first day, I wasn't talking about any of those things until way later that night. And the fact that it's just about 50 every day, like it's pretty consistent. So I would say that whatever I talk about on Snapchat doesn't matter. I would like to do this again and talk about other things to see if maybe other topics would change that, to see if I would get more or less. I will say when I started talking about being a part of the LGBT community myself and having an ex-girlfriend, and being genderqueer, I will say I had more harassment for the people that were responding to that specific snap of transphobia and homophobia, that kind of stuff, versus actual sexual requests, I guess. So it changed what type of unconsensual activity, because harassment is unconsensual, right? So sexual harassment, regular harassment, Um, it's all harassment. I would say the type of harassment changed based on what I posted, but overall, I was still harassed no matter what. Now, the women, should we even bother? Wow. I only had a block one. Now, one thing that was really funny in my 10 years on Snapchat, I've only actually had to block and report freaking 5 accounts. Now, 6, which is insane to me. I mean, that's already a markup, um, in my opinion, based on just naturally having people add me, not on quick add. That definitely, I feel like there would be an increase with women I would block if I continue to stay on quick add. But it's interesting at the same time that it's still only 1 to 2% of women get blocked. 98, 99 don't, compared to the men. And I have the same standards. There's no difference between the men and women in how I treat them, talk to them, entertain them. Like there's no difference. It's not me. It's men. Oh my goodness. It's the men. Now I didn't make a graph for the other because 1 out of 3 is 33, and I don't believe this person was non-binary. Now, the reason I don't believe this person is non-binary, I did screenshot their messages. This was somebody I made sure to document because it was just so crazy to me. So they were responding specifically to the misogyny and sexism comments that I was talking about on my Snap story. And they were basically agreeing with the misogyny, like adding on to it. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. And I even went through their profile, saw that they were a man, I'm 100% confident they're a man. And I go, and of course, you're another man reported, you know? This guy pops off saying that I shouldn't assume his gender because he's actually non binary. And I go, as a genderqueer person myself, I just want to say that the only non binary, genderqueer, gender fluid people I see that holds on to misogyny and sexism is internally homophobic or transphobic or sexist and misogynistic still. That doesn't negate that. You don't escape that with your identity. And most people also recognize as well, on top of that, if I'm specifically talking about sexism and you are masculine presenting, whether or not you identify differently, you are treated by society as masculine. And therefore, you're not going to have the same understanding of a person who is feminine presenting and their treatment unless you actually listen to the perspective of the feminine presenting person. And everyone I feel in the LGBT community that is pretty positive in this mindset of these things and aware of these things is very understanding of how men and women and how they're presented and how society views them as and treats them as varies very differently. So I kind of like went through this whole explaining with them, and they were actually the type of person where right after that, they just tried to continue on with the conversation like nothing happened, but completely skipped over the misogyny and then started asking about if I was single and stuff like that. I was just like, no, go off. Go off. See that right there? Like, that tells me you're a man. You're definitely a man. You are not on, but you're lying. You're lying. You are 100% lying. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. I'm sorry. I don't like to doubt people and their identities, but that was used as a weapon. And most people within the LGBT community do not use their sexuality and their identity as a weapon. Okay? Because we know we make each other look bad if we were to do that. Most of us don't do that. And the ones who do typically are having a lot of internalized homophobia, transphobia, is misogynistic or sexist. and they're not good people, and that doesn't excuse them just because they identify as a certain way or have a certain sexuality. No, just no. So this was an interesting experiment. I actually figured there would be more, specifically more pictures. I think what deterred is because I did bring up on my Snapchat publicly saying that it was illegal in my state. So I think that did deter it again from that type of harassment to a different type of harassment, because it was also around that time as well. I also noticed a different attitude. And as well as some people sitting there saying, that and the R word by deception shouldn't even be a law in Texas. Like, this should be legal because all men are like this. Well, based on my statistics, no, not all men are like this. Another thing as well was the type of, whenever I started talking about these things, this is my first time saying all men, right? First time in the video. Tell me why I talked like this on my Snap story. Never said all men, yet I had multiple men sit there and go, you know, all men aren't like this, right? I could say all this about women. You can say you block 50 women every day for harassment. Don't lie to me. No. Don't lie to me. Don't lie. You post your own video and your own stats. I'd like to see that. Don't lie. Don't sit there and lie. You cannot say the same. And the thing is, they're confused every time because they didn't listen to a word I said in my snap. They just heard the word men and automatically assumed I was some kind of social justice warrior, grouping all men together, saying all men are bad because I said men in my DMs being creepers, having to block 50 every day. Just about. And they just assume instead of listening to me, which is actually misogynistic in itself, because if it was a man talking about this, they would listen. Right? So it was just crazy to see how many people were men, and it was all men as well. But I just want to say that, you know, I never hear the phrase "not all women," but not all women. Like, I never hear that. You want to know why I never hear that? Because one, I don't associate myself with anyone really and watch really any type of content where they make such bold claims as all or nothing. Because unless you've got the data to back up the claims of all or nothing, I call BS. So I don't even entertain that. I'm not around that space. So in my day-to-day life, I never hear anyone going, but not all women. But tell me why I hear this all the time of not all men. Like, shut up. Just listen. Just listen. Just listen. Listen to the facts. Listen to the literal. I gathered these statistics over the last 4 days, made these graphs by hand with crayons. Like, come on. What more do you want from me? What do you mean? I didn't say all men are this, all men are that. No, I gave you statistics. I can't give you all the proof because that might be illegal. That might be illegal for me to do. Different states, different laws. I'm just not going to do it. Did I screenshot and do I still have screenshots? Absolutely. But seriously, just ask any woman. Or better yet, if you are a man watching my video and you still disagree with everything I'm saying, or most of what I'm saying, right? Specifically about how these proportions are the way they are. If you want to see for yourself, make us another Snapchat, put it as female presenting, ask a female you know, let them know about what you're doing. If you want to send this video to them, send this video to them. You don't got to, be nice. But just ask them to use their photos or edit your own photos to make yourself look very feminine. Um, and then, document yourself on quick ad the men that are responding to your story and creeping up in your DMs. Like, document it yourself. You can literally do this yourself at home. There's no excuse to call me a liar. You can't even call me a liar until you do it yourself. Get your own statistics and your own graphs. Thank you. So, if you liked this video, let me know. What I should do for more of these. If you don't like these videos, well, too bad. I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna keep doing this. I think that this needs to be talked about because the more we're gonna talk about this, the more we can make it known just how much harassment is online, specifically towards women, especially sexual harassment, and why this isn't okay. Like, we can't make change and stop this until we're more aware of talking about it. Like, there is a reason why even Texas, of all states, was finally like, yep, we're going to make unsolicited photos like this, where you send it without consent, illegal. Because you should be asking for permission before just bombarding people with sexual questions. Like, we need to start normalizing that, A, no one even owes you a response. Like, this is something that really made me mad, was the amount, like, of harassment, just general harassment I got, where somebody would send me a message, I save it, I wouldn't answer it because I'm accepting 300 friend requests at once one day. Like, ooh, no, I'm not responding to you right now, or probably at all. Even posted on my story, like, I am accepting so many friend requests, I'm not responding to y'all, especially since a lot of y'all are probably bots. That's another thing too. There were a lot of bots. I didn't include any of the bots in my statistics for any specific things like harassment or anything like that. I just grouped them as like the good men. So technically speaking, those good men, also a lot of them are probably just bots. Um, and by bots I mean there's this sugar daddy scam where you get a message and it's like, hey, I'll give you 2,000 a week allowance. No schmecks, no photos, no meetups needed. Just let me know if you're interested. And it's like, no, you're very obviously a scam. I get this every single day. Even without actually quick ad, I would get, like, not every day, but about once a week I'd get an ad from a bot. Somehow they'd get my name. I think it's because I used to have my Snapchat on other platforms. And one person did say that somebody was using my Snapchat and talking to them on Reddit. Like, they told them to add my Snapchat from Reddit, but then they blocked me. So I don't know if they were lying or if somebody's pretending to be me on Reddit. But I'm gonna say lying though, because I had nobody else, and I would imagine like this person wouldn't stop with just one person. Like, I would have multiple people adding me on Snapchat if that were the case, and also telling me like, but we were just talking. Like, why you got an attitude now? Like that. But that didn't happen, so I don't. I'm pretty confident that was a lie. Or this dude, especially because almost every. I'm trying to think about it. I don't think a single person actually did look up my name, because it shows you on Snapchat quick ad, or if they searched you by name when you accept their friend requests. And I accepted all these friend requests. So I'm sitting here accepting, and I don't remember ever seeing somebody with the search my name. So I'm pretty confident that was a lie. That, or he mixed up the name somehow, or he was mixing me up with a different person. Like, he added me and another person, and that person's who he was talking to, and he just flipped them. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so I would say most men on Snapchat, um I guess technically most men on Snapchat are actually decent, in a sense that they don't harass, but over a third of them do. At least the ones that will add you off of quick ad. Mm. Man. I mean, at the end of the day, too, there's so many times I've posted on my Snapchat, and then I'll have males that I know a lot of times, like old high school peers, and they'll just be like, "Hey, remember me?" It's just like, I've always had a crush on you. Can we like go out? I'm like, I post so often about how I want to be left alone by men. Like before I decided to do this quick ad thing. And so that's kind of what my attitude was, and why I did this is like, well, just F it. If I'm gonna have like literal men that I do know ignoring my requests, then why not just have men I don't know ignore my request and document it? So that's what came up with this video. Um, it's kind of gross. Like it really I I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this experience. I would say um one, entertaining. It was pretty entertaining no matter what. I gotta admit, it was pretty entertaining. Two, stressful. I've already had a lot of stress in my life, with things going on. And this definitely added more unnecessary stress to my plate. My left eye specifically has been on and off, like twitching like crazy. Um, but it's also entertaining. It's more entertaining than it was stressful. I'll say that. So I say it kind of cancels out the stress. I don't know. It's not how that actually works in your body, but there. And the third way, is it was educational. It was educational. I thought it would be more. Honestly, I really did thought it would be more. I was wrong. Um, but the real statistics are still pretty gross and still shows that there is still a huge issue of specifically men on Snapchat through the quick ad who are very demanding of a woman's time. Typically, most of the people who are adding people on quick ad, and what I see is they're looking for a relationship. And this is something I really don't understand that much because it's supposed to be a social media app, not a dating app. Like there are dating apps for this reason. Like just to me, it makes me wonder: are all the people who are getting banned off dating apps are just coming on Snapchat and going through the quick ads? Like, why do Snapchat and not Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or Meet Me? Like, there's so many. There's so many. Like, why Snapchat specifically? Um, it's really crazy as well. I think honestly that feature of being able to add anybody and everybody, because it's not like other social medias where like on Facebook, for example, you can actually be penalized for adding a bunch of people you actually don't know. Versus Snapchat, they encourage this behavior with just a quick ad suggestion with a whole algorithm of supportive people. And I wonder also how that actually works. I didn't know that it actually was. Maybe it's not. Maybe I was lied to. But a male did claim. I said male. A man did claim. Excuse me. Did claim that they do have an algorithm because he's like, why did Snapchat algorithm think that I would like you? It accused me of being a social justice warrior because I was complaining about having to block 50 men every day for the last few days. Um, So maybe there is a special type of algorithm, and I'm very interested to see how that kind of works. I hypothesize that if you just send or accept everybody on Quick Add, then you would just be recommended anybody and everybody on Quick Add. But if you select specific account names, for example, I guess like a trend, like maybe you have a thing for just A names and you just add all the A, then maybe eventually, if there is an algorithm, it would only suggest people with usernames with an A name. I don't know. But I will also say that before, when I instantly turned on my quick ad, I would say the ratio to men to women were about the same. But now in my quick ad suggestions of what's suggested for me to add, it changed. So there has to be an algorithm because it did change to mostly men when it was about equal before. So there probably is an algorithm. And I guess to that guy who was wondering why he thinks that the algorithm would like me, well, it's because you're adding every single person with a female bitmoji. So you're being suggested every single female with a bitmoji. So maybe, I don't know, develop a type. And then you'll finally get a type suggested to you. I don't know. Maybe start adding people with bitmojis that have only a certain hair color. I don't know. Like, why are you making that my issue? That's You take that up to Snapchat anyways. Like, there is no reason to say that except to do just to condescend. That was another level of misogyny right there in its own. So very interesting. But let me know what other details you would like graphed for the future. And if you have any questions about these graphs and some of the stuff. Most of the messages I got, I forgot I was going to talk about that too. Most of them really were just really demanding of my time, really. That was a big thing. Like, hey, or and then they'll respond like immediately back the second I opened and saved their message and exited out of it, just like crying emojis or stuff like that, which is so like, I'm sorry, but the misogyny and sexist standard that we have that women are emotional, but the amount of crying emojis from men in my DMs because I wouldn't respond to them in less than a minute. Literally, I screenshotted so many where it literally was grouped together because it wasn't even a minute from the messages. Like, you can't even give me a minute to respond before sending me crying emojis because I didn't answer you. And we are the emotional ones? And what are you talking about? No, this is unhinged behavior. um it just shows there, like, you can't listen to any type of sexism or misogyny because it's just stereotypes. It's not based on any truths. Each individual person is an individual person, and it's as simple as that. But I would say there was a lot of men as well, that I ended up having to block later on, like actually talking to and actually having decent conversations. But then, like, it would turn like, and they were always the one that would claim that they're nice guys, or they're not like the other guys, or those are boys and I'm a man. Oh no, you a boy too by your own logic. You gotta apologize to yourself because you crossed that line. You did exactly what you called them out for. Ooh, so many. That was honestly tripping me out there. I did talk to quite a few new people. I've met some cool new friends, actually, I would say. Like, I'm getting kind of close with a few, just like, honestly, like two or three I've been talking to like every day since I've added them. And I've been having pretty decent conversations with the people that I'm actually conversating with. So it's interesting, but I would say the vast majority of people I'm not talking to. Um, I have now like 1,004, like over 1,000 followers, like 1,400 or something like that, and I cannot honestly even keep up with all these messages. So I only really respond to the people that actually have something to say about my stories, and it's worthy really of an interaction. Like, they put in something or they'll add to the conversation, or they'll tell me about an experience with it that they know of. Usually, like, it's a lot of the people I add, they'll end up saying like, "Oh man, you having to block like 50? My sister's blocking like 100." And I'm like, "Oh my god, your poor sister." Come on, like this stuff like that too. It's like the men that do know and are aware of this, they literally know because they know women that it's happening to, and they're actually understanding of it. And most of those men, I've been having awesome conversations with. They've been nothing but nice. The men that literally have recognized and are telling me horror stories of the women in their life that they know that are constantly being harassed and they have to block so many people every single day. I've met some men that have like um, influencers actually here on YouTube. And Instagram and everything else who talk about like their hidden messages. Like this is actually the reason why once you get into like a huge social media space and everything else, you get a management team and they tell you straight up, do not, no longer will you read your filtered messages. Don't do it. Just don't do it because it is all just, especially if you're a female, it's just misogyny over and over and over, and it is insane to see. I've even seen some screenshots. Oh my god, if the level just it honestly scares me, but it's also kind of like, man, I thought I had it bad. It can get even worse than this. I mean, it makes sense because I know a lot of. I would say that most men age 30 and up, I would argue, don't like the style I have, right? So automatically, most men aren't even going to really harass me online. And that's a scary realization because I don't cater to the male eye on purpose as much as I can. Like I try to do a little bit more crazier with my makeup today. You know, today's look is actually it's a pretty look, I would say, but it's still I people, especially in my town, they're kind of scared of black. So it's kind of men repellent, honestly, where I'm at. Again, I'm in Texas, and I'm in a very conservative city at the moment. There's not a lot of alternative people. There's not a lot of goths. And actually, the town I'm in, or the city I'm in, is it a city or a town? I don't know. But it's pretty much run by the church here. And they're very anti anyone that looks like me. So most men don't actually approach me in public. So I like it. It's why one of the, not the reason, but it's one of the reasons I dress the way that I do. I don't want to cater to the male eye because I don't want to be harassed. Thank you very much. So, but now I'm inviting the harassment, right? So that way I can document it. This is my handy dandy sketchbook, not notebook. Sorry to disappoint, but let me know. Um, if you want me to like read out some of the messages in another video, I can do that. I can do that. But I just want to point out again, just so that way we have this in our brain again, who added me. Just remember, this is who added me over 4 days. 4 days. Mostly men. And of those men, over a third got blocked and or told they were reported. We're breaking Snapchat TOS with some form of harassment mostly. Oh my goodness. What do y'all hypothesize for the future? Make some theories. Let's see what else we can discover with this. It doesn't even have to be this either. Um, there's some other things that are kind of brewing in my brain when it comes to categorizing the type of people that add me. Like, I'm very interested. I also have thought about location. Not everyone has their location though, but surprisingly enough, most of the people adding me are actually definitely in the South. So I also kind of wonder if Southern men are more bold with this type of harassment than Northern men. Maybe. I will also add that most of the men that have been adding me, I would say, I'm literally pulling the statistic out of my butt here. I don't have anything to truly back this up, but I would say at least maybe 80% of the men that are adding me are American. So, and then the most I see from after that is like Middle Eastern, surprisingly. Like a lot of Middle Eastern men. And Southeast Asian. Like that demographic area. Like though all those countries in that area just hitting all of that. Interesting enough, but it is mostly American men adding me as well. So keep that in mind. I wonder, especially in places like Finland, for example, with the whole um, claim of gender equality there, if the statistics would differ in Finland. Like, I really, really want a woman from, or even a man, like, get permission from a woman in your life if you're in Finland and do this experiment and try and only add Finnish people, I guess, and see um, if your country would change that. Like, I'm very, very interested in seeing that as well. I don't know how, I would imagine, like, if you would quick add traditional Finnish names and just keep adding those specific names, you would eventually be recommended to only Finnish men. I don't know. I will say as well, I've had so many people message me in different languages, and those were automatically categorized into the good because I wasn't Google translating anything. Nah, I ain't got time for that. I just don't. You just got ignored. That's how that went. So I have no idea about anything said to me in another language. Like it could have easily been even more honestly added to the block slash reported list, but I didn't Google Translate anybody's messages if they didn't message me in English. I didn't have time for it. So maybe I should do that next time. Like, copy every message, translate it, and see if that changes the statistic. I wouldn't imagine that it would change a whole lot. Maybe just like, I think it would increase it maybe at most 1 to 3%. I don't think it would be a whole lot because I didn't have a whole lot of people that were speaking to me in a different language um, messaging me and adding me. So I would imagine if things stayed consistent, about a third of those men, it would only be about 1 to 3%, at most 3%. I would imagine. Based on the percentages we already have, and the trend of about a third of men adding me. So about a third of those who message me and speak a different language. Well, that's just message me as well, not just maybe it would be. That's a hard one to figure out. I'm not gonna know unless I add that. So maybe that is something I do. You guys let me know though. Let me know. Let me know. Maybe. Maybe. But this was an interesting experiment, and I'm gonna keep it on. Let me know if you do this. Please be an adult doing this. Please do not be a child. You shouldn't even be watching my video if you're a child. I'm sorry. But ask a parent, I guess. If you are a child, um, maybe ask your mom to do this for you. Maybe that would be a good family topic, actually. Be like, Mom, I want to educate myself on just how crazy the real world is. Can you put yourself on quick ad on Snapchat and show me the type of messages you get instead of make me doing it myself? Like, yeah, ask your mom, ask your dad to pretend to be a woman and Photoshop his own images if you are being raised by a man, whatever guardian you have, adult guardian. Are all guardians? I mean, if there's teen parent, there can be an emancipated 16-year-olds with guardianships of their siblings, right? So there could be minor guardians. I ask your parent or guardian. Um, we'll just keep it at that. And don't message me if you're a minor. And do not add my social media if you're a minor. Don't do that. Don't add my Snapchat. I block every single minor. So just don't do it. You're gonna get really upset really fast. I'm not Andy Biersack. I will not message you back and wish you a Merry Christmas. That happened. That happened before when I was a minor. That's back when he had a Facebook. When he had a confirmed, verified Facebook. I wished him a Merry Christmas one year, and he messaged me back wishing me a Merry